do when it gets to this point? Where you can't see yourself in the mirror all that clearly. When you can't control your next movements. Where you can't silence your thoughts about being normal again. Hi, my name is Ashley and I have non-epileptic seizures. An epileptic seizure is caused by spontaneous abnormal electrical discharges, while a non-epileptic seizure is linked to psychological stress or trauma from recent events or even some forgotten in the past. When people first hear the word seizure, they immediately think I fall to the floor, experience foaming at the mouth, and lose all consciousness, which isn't the case for me. On television, you mostly only see one part of seizures, which are tonic-clonic seizures, or other known as the grand mal seizure. Is when you experience a loss of consciousness along with violent muscle contractions. Only 25% of people who have epilepsy experience this. There's still so many experiences that differ, even though that's the main type of seizure that's broadcasted.
Hello, ambulance, please.
My seizures are caused by migraines. Migraines are a neurological condition that can only mimic epileptic seizures. So while I might have body spasms in some of my limbs, my brain activity is completely normal. So for the most part as a kid, I didn't experience any type of migraines. The factors that actually increase the risk of you developing these type of seizures include a history of sexual abuse, a history of physical abuse or neglect, and a tendency to holding in your emotions. As someone who has struggled with all of these factors, my days started to get a bit worse. I remember when I was around 9 years old, living in the Kelly Apartments on 10 Mile. My mom was at work, working a night shift at Motor City, and my brother was asleep in the other room. It was around 8 p.m. and I had a headache. A headache isn't supposed to be the end of the world, but at that time, it was. My head was aching, I tried to get up and go for water, and the room was spinning. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't able to talk or call for help, so I just laid back in bed and hoped when I woke up, it would be gone. My mom wasn't the easiest person to talk to, so I decided to let it go and convince myself that I maybe ate too many soups before nighttime. Until about a couple of months later, it happened again. The headache hit me, and this time I had water by my bed. I drank the whole bottle and just took a nap. I thought the same solution would work out again, but it didn't. I woke up the same night just a couple hours later, and it was worse. With every step I took, the more I started to lose balance. I ended up sitting on the floor and calling my mom for help. She came in and asked me how bad it was this time on a scale of 1 to 10. I told her a 10. I know what you're probably thinking. Surely since the 10 is the highest, I'd be in the car on the way to the emergency room or urgent care, but no. She decided to just tell me to hold on, and then she came back with a bottle of Advil in her hand and read me instructions on how to take them. She only gave me one because she wasn't sure how many is too many for a child my age. I took one, drank another bottle of water, and went to sleep. When I woke up, it was still there. This time, she did her research. She decided to give me Motrin instead. I took 2 this time, drank a bottle of water, and went to bed. I woke up and it was still there, just faintly this time. She asked me how bad it was, and since it wasn't as bad, she thought she found a solution. So she had me take one more before bed, and I did. Even though this migraine lasted 3 whole days, I never received any type of medical assistance. Me and my mom repeated the cycle for 7 more years. When anything is happening to you, I personally believe you would know if there's something really wrong. And that's how I felt. No matter how many times she told me, oh, I deal with headaches too, or you need to go on a stricter diet, maybe that's why, or it's just because you're not sleeping enough at night. I knew it wasn't my fault and there was something actually wrong with me. Usually the intervals between each headache would be a couple months apart, so it didn't affect me as much. Now, the intervals just get smaller and smaller, and they do affect my everyday life. As the headaches would become more frequent, I think you could tell that I was being physically drained. I would stay in bed longer, and I slowly stopped doing all the things I used to enjoy. I found myself losing the motivation to get up and actually start my day. Then my mom finally realized there was a problem, and I went to St. John's Hospital. At the time I was 16, I didn't know anything about non-epileptic seizures. So when they tested my brain waves and didn't find anything, they started asking personal questions. such as how's everything at home, do you feel safe, things like that. In the back of my mind, I thought telling the truth would only cause me more harm, but what actually harmed me more was preventing them from finding answers. So for the moment, Dr. Alton prescribed me naproxen to lessen the severity of my headache when they finally came. The routine was that I would take 1 or 2 of these pills depending on how bad my headache was and eat food with them. Of course, all medication has side effects, and ironically, one of those side effects for these pills were headaches. I could have rebound headaches from these pills if I start to overuse them, which should be easy to avoid except the intervals between each migraine were now every few days, so I'd have to regularly keep track of how many I've taken during the month. I got used to taking the pills and the required routines. I always wasn't very vocal about what was happening to me. I tried to live my life as normally as possible, hoping this will all stop. But sometimes fear takes over me and I start to wonder, how long will this work and what if things get worse? I always was the girl with her headphones on, blasting music. I used to try to silence the world out by doing that, and I even have Apple notifications popping up about the sound being too loud. Now I can't even bear to listen to music or any form of sound for more than 30 minutes without getting a migraine. I started to have my light off in my room all the time, and overall I just didn't feel like me anymore. As time went on with me being in and out the hospital trying to find answers to why this was happening to me, I eventually opened up about my stress and was diagnosed. Now at 19 years old, I had a doctor's visit scheduled with Dr. Alton again to approve my housing accommodation for the Church Mercy. I haven't seen her in about 2 years. I have been going in and out of Mercy, introducing myself to new doctors, so we had some catching up to do. She was aware of my seizures though. We went through the normal protocols of checking my heartbeat, blood pressure, and etc. Then she listed off several things and asked me to respond with a number from 1 through 5 of how much migraines affected the activity, such as eating, sleeping, walking, the ability to learn, things like that. After getting through the list, she had all the information needed to fill out my accommodation form. After that, she asked me to remind her of what I was experiencing. I told her about my irritation with the light and certain strong scents, about my new low tolerance for sound, how I wear earplugs now when I go out, the very rare blackouts I would have, and how my vision would get blurry occasionally.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
What do you mean?
Ashley, these are symptoms of a brain tumor.
What?